Okay, it is time for today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, and today is Thursday, September 30th, year of our Lord 2021. We're going to talk about the IRS smoking cannabis. It's out of control. Join us, won't you? Good afternoon. I am your host. As I mentioned, I am attorney Stephen Leahy. We are here to talk about taxes on today's Tax Talk. Whenever I deal with people with the IRS, they always ask me, they often ask me, I should say, not always, but often, are they smoking something? So sometimes I think that they are. But, the IRS, we've talked about cannabis laws and the different rules for, I think it's we'll talk about the section of the code that prohibits cannabis businesses from deducting their expenses, many of their expenses. They still get cost of goods sold, but many of their expenses are not allowed because of the law that cannabis is still a controlled substance under federal law. And as such, it's subject to some rules with the IRS, and the IRS enforces those rules. And that's why many of these dispensaries and whatnot they don't take credit cards often directly because they can't have accounts. They can't have bank accounts. So it's a very strictly cash business in much of the time. And there's certain rules that the IRS has to implement in order to. Today or yesterday, I should say, a member of the IRS, high up member, wrote a blog on the IRS.gov website, and we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about that. Okay, so take a closer look at how the IRS is working to positively impact filing, payment, and reporting compliance on the part of all businesses involved in the growing distribution and sales of cannabis, marijuana. Well, let me kind of cut to the chase and tell you that what are they going to tell you? File your tax returns, report all your income. I mean, that's really what they're going to tell you. And there's nothing we can do about this, about the prohibitions. Okay? It's a fairly long blog, and let's do some of it. Okay, tackling compliance. Tackling complex tax compliance issues is something I take great pride in doing as part of my job as the commissioner for the Small Business Self-Employed Examination Division. This is by Lon Harris. I also see it as my responsibility to make sure my organization, the IRS, helps taxpayers navigate those complex issues and provides the tools that we have available for them to be successful and compliant business owners. And that's what they want, right? The IRS wants successful, compliant. Okay, be compliant. Well, I'm laughing about that, but that's the secret to solving all of your IRS problems. Compliance, right? You have to file your taxes on time and pay on time. And if you have an IRS problem, one of the remedies, most of the remedies involved, require compliance moving forward. And if you don't stay in compliance, then any agreement that you come up with is gone. Even an offer in compromise, right? You have 5 years, you have to stay in compliance. That's the rules. That's the standard. So one such evolving and complex issue my organization has been focused on is the tax implications for the rapidly growing cannabis marijuana industry. The specific rules and regulations regarding how it is taxed at the federal level provides the IRS an opportunity to promote voluntary compliance. Again, there's that word again, compliance. Not only through audits. I don't know if audits are voluntary. I understand what they're saying is that because of the threat of audits, they believe that people will be honest and voluntary because they don't want the audit. Although people who do nothing wrong get audited every day, not only through audits, but also through outreach and education. And that's what he's trying to do here, outreach and education. At last count, 36 states plus the District of Columbia have legalized marijuana for recreational or medicinal use, or both. These states, such as California, provide tax guidance for businesses, which we strongly encourage industry members to remain compliant with state taxes as well. But we're not really concerned about that. And while there are 14 states that still ban cannabis, we expect both unlicensed and licensed marijuana businesses to grow. It's tricky from the business perspective because even though states are legalizing marijuana and treating it as a legal business enterprise, it's still considered a Schedule I controlled substance under federal law. That means cannabis business has additional considerations under the law, creating unique challenges for members of the industry. Specifically, these businesses are often cash intensive, since many can't use traditional banks to deposit their earnings. It also creates unique challenges for the IRS on how to support these new business owners and still promote tax compliance. While IRS code section, here's that section I was talking about, 280E, is clear that all the deductions and credits aren't allowed for illegal business, there's a caveat. Marijuana business owners can deduct their cost of goods sold, which is basically the cost of their inventory. What isn't deductible are the normal overhead expenses, such as advertising expenses, wages, salaries, tax expenses, to name a few. I wonder if they do change this, and there's a story here that it's gotten out. We're going to briefly talk about a story after this about the effort on the federal government to end the prohibition on marijuana laws. And I wonder if these tax companies, once they can deduct a lot of their expenses, because of course that they pass that cost on to all of us who partake in the cannabis industry. I have never gone to. Well, I shouldn't say never, but I haven't gone to it. I don't frequent cannabis shops. The taxes kill you. So I don't, I wonder if they'll reduce their fees. I don't know. What isn't a deductible and normal overhead expenses? Well, I understand this nuance can be a challenge for some business owners, and I also realize some small businesses don't always have a lot of resources available to them. That's why I'm making sure the IRS is doing what it can to help businesses with our new cannabis marijuana initiative. The goal of this initiative is to implement a strategy to increase voluntary compliance with the tax law while also identifying and addressing noncompliance, like they do with every business. I believe this will positively impact filing, payment, and reporting compliance on the part of all businesses involved in the growing distribution and sale of cannabis marijuana. Actually, you could put anything in there, any business, because that's what they do for any business, right? They encourage compliance, and then they go after noncompliance. That's like every business. How will we do that? Here are some of the strategic activities. We'll ensure training and job aids are available to IRS examiners working cases so that they can conduct quality examinations consistently throughout the country. Again, same thing they'll do with every business. We'll make sure there is a coordination and consistent approach by the IRS to the cannabis marijuana industry. Well, again, like every other industry. We're going to find ways to identify non-compliant taxpayers. They're always on the hunt for non-compliance, right? Because they're coming after you. We'll collaborate with external stakeholders to increase an awareness of tax responsibility to improve compliance. I think most people know that when you make money, you have to pay taxes on it. And we'll give taxpayers access to information on how to properly comply with the filing requirements. Again, just like every other business. I'm very focused on the success of this strategy because it's very important for business owners to understand that under our nation's tax laws, and specifically Internal Revenue Code 61, all income is taxable, even if someone is running a business that's considered illegal under federal law. So all the drug dealers and stuff, they are, and that's why they came up with 280E, because they're required to file taxes and report all income from whatever the source. They're required to report it. And when they don't, that's why oftentimes when they don't have enough evidence to go after someone for breaking the law, they can go after them for tax evasion. And that's an easier hurdle for the federal government. I also want to make a point out that there is no difference in paying income taxes or employment taxes. You still must file your income taxes and you still will have to file your employment taxes. And if it's cash intensive business, you still have to make arrangements to pay your tax obligations. Of course. I also want to point out, this is truly groundbreaking effort for our agency. I'm proud of the work my organization has done to provide much needed educational tips, guidance, and more information on our marijuana industry page, irs.gov/marijuana, which includes links to information on IRS Section 280E, income reporting, cash payment options, reporting large cash receipts, estimated payments, keeping good records. Much of this is applicable to just about any business. We've also posted frequently asked questions. We're going to look at some of those questions here in just a minute. Our strategy is not limited to pushing information via our website in hope that our business owners will find it. I'll make it priority for our organization to engage with cannabis marijuana industry through speaking events and other outreach. I have done three of these types of events over the last year, and there was that big one. I mentioned that on one of our shows. There was one just recently. I believe it was in Vegas. Through this extended outreach, we hope to help small business owners and others fully understand the unique tax rules before there are any compliance issues. Cannabis marijuana business owners also need to understand that all cash-intensive businesses can be and are audited. I recommend business owners familiarize themselves with Cash Business Audit Techniques Guide and all the resources. I think they're just putting the fear of God in most of them because, hey, don't think that we're not going to come after you because we're coming after you. Know your investors. I'm just going to review these. Encourage your licensed. File and pay your taxes on time. Again, this is advice they'll give to just about anybody. Report your cash transactions. Anytime you do anybody does business with cash more than $10,000, you're required to report it under Form 8300 to the IRS. And there's, cannabis businesses are cash intensive. And so they deal with large amounts of cash and they have to file these reports. Keep good records. Again, that's good information for just about anybody. And then this is the gentleman about the author. He is a commissioner, small business, self-employed examination when he provides executive leadership and direction in the design, development, and delivery of comprehensive tax administration program to meet the needs of over 57 million small business owners and self-employed taxpayers. So, it's a very important job, as we all know. So here's some frequently asked questions. My business is marijuana dispensary that I operate in compliance with my state laws. The federal government considers this an illegal activity. Do I have the same income and employment tax filing obligations as any other business? And the short answer, yes. If I can't fully pay the amount I owe, are payment plans available that I can afford? I don't know. It depends what you make. That's what we help people do. But the short answer is yes. There are payment plans. What penalties or additions to tax could a participant in the marijuana industry be subject to if adjustments are made during an income tax? The same as everybody else. Will penalties under Section 662 be proposed if an audit ends with the IRS proposing adjustments for a participant in the marijuana industry? Penalties will be considered on a case, but like everybody else. See, it's the same answer. It's like everybody else. I operate a business that consists of selling marijuana. Can I claim deductions that determine my taxable income? We already talked about that. The answer is no. What do I need to do for cash payments over $10,000? File the 8300 form, as I've just mentioned. So that's the short of it. Okay, so that's the short of it. In the end, marijuana business is like, for the IRS, is like every other business. Except for it's cash intensive. And so what does the IRS think about cash intensive businesses? They think you're cheating, right? So they're going to come down on you. That's much more than they do. I shouldn't say much more than they do, but they're coming down on you because they believe you're cheating. Because you're cash intensive. They don't know what you make. Remember, that's why they're trying to get these bank records for everybody. Of course, that wouldn't help with the cannabis industry. You can't have a bank, so that wouldn't help with them. So they don't know where the money comes from. They don't know how to track it. And they want to track every dollar, dime that comes through so they can tax it. And again, when you're a cash-intensive business, they automatically believe you're cheating, and whether you are or not. And so when you get audited, it's going to be very intensive, right? And they're going to come after you. And but they go after everybody that way. So again, it's like every other business, and especially cash-intensive businesses have a unique place because it's harder for them to audit you because they don't know what came in and what came out because it's all cash. There's no record. There's no transactions. So I want to talk about one more. Let's talk about one more. This bill, I looked it up right before I came in. U.S. House Judiciary Committee advances bill to end cannabis prohibition. So this has happened before. It's come out of the committee before and not gone anywhere. A bill to end federal criminalization of cannabis has once again passed out of the House Judiciary Committee, clearing a key hurdle. After more than 3 hours of debate on Thursday, which at times strayed far from cannabis, the Marijuana Opportunity and Reinvestment Expungement Act of 2021, also known as MORE Act. I love the way they put that together. This long overdue and historic legislation would reverse failed federal policies. I'm not going to Nadler goes on and on about this. And the tax on cannabis products, either produced by the U.S. or imported, would support these spending provisions. Of course, I applaud the Democrats for doing something which is actually popular with the majority of the public, Massey said. The amendment was rejected as were a handful of other amendments brought forth by Republicans. Only 2 Republicans voted in favor of the bill, McClintock and Matt Gaetz. The MORE Act passes out of the House again. Okay, it still faces a lot of hurdles. We'll keep you updated on the progress of that bill and what happens because it is big. But the real consequences are the tax consequences, right? And that it'll make it easier for these cannabis businesses to comply with the IRS, and we'll see how that goes. So I hope you learned something here today. I always try to teach people something. I think that's what this is all about: information, tax information. I don't know if anybody else, who else is sharing you everyday tax information. I don't know of anybody else. So I am. I want you to join us in spreading this information around. I appreciate that. Remember, if you're fighting the IRS, you should get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com. Again, freeirsbook.com. Get your free copy of my book. I want to ask you to help us, like, share, subscribe. If you subscribe on YouTube, write something in the comments and I'll respond. So thanks so much for joining us here today. I hope that again, this is an interesting subject, and we'll continue covering it whenever the situation arises. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Now, tomorrow is Friday, so join us tomorrow. WatchTalkRadio.com, on YouTube and on Facebook at around 2:00. I have a guest tomorrow, an attorney guest, and we'll talk about consumer law. So join us tomorrow, won't you? And again, on Monday. So thanks so much, and we'll look forward to you joining us again.